It's the simplest story in the world. It's about a family that need to learn to love each other in order to overcome challenges. It just so happens that they become monsters and Dracula falls in love with one of them, which is maybe not the most common story in the world. There are bigger, bolder, stranger, more surreal stories you can tell through animation than very often you can tell through capturing live action, because film is a very linear film, or digital media is a very linear medium. But with animation, you can go anywhere and do anything, and the same is true as an actor. People think they know Dracula, and they might be right in other contexts, but this Dracula is very different. He's rather sad and lonely. He's very grandiose. He's a kind of egomaniac with a massive insecurity complex. He tries to sing himself out of a bad mood. He's incredibly sentimental and falls madly in love with Emma. And I think it's fair to say he doesn't take rejection very well. I didn't want to have a Transylvanian accent because many other actors have done it very well, and I didn't want to have them in my head. And also, he's speaking his first language, so there's no reason to have a foreign accent. And because I wasn't recording with the other actors, and because we're on the sets and had the props, you've really just got sound and your imagination. And in that, you're helped most of all by a good script. And this has a great story and a very rich character. So I played around with the voice, and I kept on reading the script. And at some point, somebody who sounded vain enough and insecure enough seemed to pop out of my mouth, and I stuck there. We're trying to bring a character to life. On screen, they're running around, or they're dancing, or jumping up and down, or getting bashed about. And if you stand still, or even worse, if you sit down and record, it just sounds like a bad mid-1970s dubbing session. So I'm trying to create a full life for someone, and luckily an enormous amount of the work has been done already by the animators. So if the character's flying around or dancing, if the character's kissing, whatever they're doing, I'm trying to do the same in the booth. It looks peculiar to other people, but acting is a very simple job. It's just hard to do. You have to imagine yourself in a situation. And so when my character is getting beaten up or kissing or dancing, the more I can do that's real, the less I have to imagine. I've done a couple of animated series and a couple of movies, and it's an incredibly collaborative experience, because a lot of the times they're taking your voice and then they're going away and animating. So you're not on a set with 100 crew members around, and there's only one chance to capture a scene. You can do scenes, and then you often re-record scenes and tweak them and change them. And the final rendering of the mouth movement is often the last thing to be done. So it's very give and take, and like many creative things, when you get them on their feet, something lives or happens in the moment. And luckily, the people who make this film are flexible enough and creative enough to make the space for that. This particular project is interesting because it was originally German, and then it's been translated, and then there's a lot of voices in the room, a lot of creative voices. There's Holger, the original director, but then there's the person who's directing in English, then there's the engineer who is very experienced at doing this stuff. So there's a lot of discussion around, which is unusual. There's new layers of it because it came originally from another country, another language. Frankly, sometimes I'm embarrassed to say this, but my job is fun, and the more interesting, bright, creative people there are, the more fun it gets. I don't think any sense of humour translates from culture to culture or country to country. You have to adapt. And so initially, when it was a translation from German, it was tricky because a lot of the scenes had been animated already. We had to try and find funny, spontaneous, organic English versions of the same number of lip movements. But as the project evolved, they reanimated stuff, and they recut stuff, and they reshot stuff, rewrote stuff. And in the end, what will be coming out will be the English version of the film. I hope people have a great time watching it. I hope they laugh, I hope they gasp, I hope they're thrilled by it. I hope they want to know what happens next. And beyond all that, I hope they turn around to whoever's there from their family and they give them a kiss on the cheek and tell them they love them.